Hello everyone, it's Moonkin FTW back with another episode. In this episode we are the coaster challenge. We are tackling the mini coaster, and in this episode I'm gonna try and make more basic theming, if you will. I didn't have a whole lot of inspiration for anything specific, but I'm gonna try and use this mini coaster to the best of my ability. Unfortunately, the mini coaster doesn't know a lot of inversions or a lot of special objects, if you will, or track pieces. So I'm going to rely on just the most basic piece and still trying to make something kind of cool, fast, intense, whatever you want to call it, while still maintaining a nice pace and, decent transitions, you name it. So that is kind of the idea and the intention of this ride. And I will try to spice things up with some stuff I've used before, so like the pathing, like the curved passing from BC's Path mods. I'll try to use a few other things like Moby Steel Jungle for some for some very realistic looking supports and stuff like that. So while we go through this, it's pretty interesting to note that this is already episode 35, and we are now kind of halfway. So in a few episodes before, I said that Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 has a lot of coasters, and there are about 70 of them. So now we're on 35, and now we're kind of halfway. So yeah, it's true. They have, give or take, 70 roller coasters, which is pretty nuts if you ask me. So I'm going to start off this build in terms of scenery with some pre-made supports, which come in very handy because they drastically reduce the build time of these roller coasters when it comes to building stuff with Moby Steel Jungle, because that can get quite extensive. So it saves a lot of time and it makes just things a whole lot easier. Unfortunately, when it comes to the mini roller coaster, or at least this design, there's also a few places where I could not use these pre-made designs. So that's a bit of a shame, but still, all things considered, I was able to use a good amount of these pre-made supports. So that really cuts down on the time I would be spending to build all of this. So we're just going to go through it, and I'm using the grid view to kind of determine where the supports will be. It really helps. I started using the grid view only recently, which is now I'm kicking myself in the head for this, because this really helps in knowing where to place the items, and if they line up, and if they're in the middle of a block or in the edge of the block. So that really helps. I'm also using the banked supports, the pre-made banked supports that I have. Now they also really help when it comes to building supports for the lower section of this roller coaster, and as well as these basic supports with the slanted beams. It really helps also with cutting down the time to build this roller coaster. So yeah, we're just going through the entire roller coaster and trying to figure out, okay, where can I build these slant supports, which height matches these supports, this and that. So we're just going over the entire ride and just trying to figure out where I can place supports and this and that, and also supports that match the ground, where I will place the footers, of course, of the supports. And yeah, we're just going through it. It does take a decent amount of time on this one, but it was kind of a trade-off. So I was like, okay, I don't really have any specific ideas when it comes to the scenery. I don't really have any other kind of wild or new original ideas. So like, okay, you know what? The looks of this roller coaster are going to be pretty basic. So I want the kind of basic theming, if you will, to be really nice. And that's that's why I'm putting a decent amount of time into these supports. Could have gotten away with using JCAT steelwork, but then it wouldn't look as pretty. Maybe in some later designs I might opt for it, because again, the whole idea of this challenge is to make good looking coasters, but not super over the top for every single one. I don't want this to kind of demotivate me, if you will. But like I said, there are some times where I really have a really cool idea, and then I actually spend a good amount of time building it, because I'm like, you know what, I'm also not in a rush either, so who cares if I spend a bit more time on a roller coaster. So here we are placing the flanges, of course, for some extra detail on this ride. And yeah, I'm just going over the entire coaster, making sure all these supports have flanges, both vertical and, of course, the angled flanges, if you will, both slant and diagonal. So we're just doing that. And I'm going to move some supports here, because I want this pathing to go, of course, through this, or under this kind of airtime hill, because this is kind of where the general gathering area will be, where you have the queue and the exit. And just like my previous designs, I'm going to use BC's Path mods to kind of make nice curved paths And I'm going to use the Weber's foliage set to also create some really nice fences around this ride. And you'll see that as we go through this creation. You'll see that kind of coming to life or coming together, all this. So you'll see that. So I'm going to add pathing all along this ride. I also really like how it looks when you have pathing kind of around this roller coaster, you know, because generally speaking, if you're at an amusement park and the ride is kind of situated not at the edge of the park but kind of in the middle, you almost always have pathing or something that surrounds the roller coaster, or at least it's close to it. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm using a combination of curved bends and also some diagonal pieces where it fits better. And all in all, I think it's starting to look quite nice. And you know, these fences also work really, really well. I just love the way they look. And yeah, we're slowly but surely making this ride and putting it all together, so to say. So I'm going to add these flat pieces here by BC's Path Mods to cover the regular pathing, and then of course these bigger tiles. And you see the pathing really taking shape now. I'm also opening up the park, you know, letting the time run, not pause anymore, so the guests can kind of already walk around and scatter around a little bit. So while we're running this, you see guests kind of everywhere, or at least that's the idea. Let's see if that actually works. Now there was one problem with these fences. So I have this pre-made design with like 4 in a row. I was like, oh, that's going to save me a lot of time. But then I realized that the curves are black and the fences are gray. So I was like, oh crap, I'm going to have to recolor a bunch of stuff, am I? I'm like, yep, I'm going to have to recolor a bunch of stuff. Not ideal, but I figured this out later and I was like, okay, you know, I'm going to stick to the black ones. I'm just, you know, I'll recolor stuff and fix it. It's not going to take a lot of time. It's a bit annoying, but, you know, I want this to be right. I want it to be done right. I don't want to cut corners. So I'm just going to take some time and change the fences, but it didn't take me a lot of time in the end, so it's all good. And we're almost done with the fencing here. Just continuing along, and then we eventually will reach the one point where we have the station, where we have to alter a few things here and there. Now while I'm recoloring this, I accidentally also made a few other objects black, so I'm just going to change it back to the original color, and there we go. So now let's make the path from the entrance to the park to the actual pathing that goes around the roller coaster. And there we go. Nice. Pathing looking good. We are on our way. So let's plop down the station here. And this is a slightly longer station than I'm usually building. Usually I build like a station that is 5 tiles long. This one is 7. That's because, you know, these mini coaster trains are quite short. So I'm just trying to, you know, cram as much trains into this one as I can. Gonna add a catwalk, of course, a staple of my rides, and of course real roller coasters. And last but not least, we're gonna add some foliage. And I'm not gonna place this all around because again, this is kind of a design I wanna save and put later on Park Crafters or RCT Go or both. So we're just gonna go ahead and put trees where the ride is, and for the rest, I'm just gonna keep it empty for now. And I think that will be it. I think that's it for the mini coaster. It's looking pretty good. And yeah, I'm generally happy with it. It's a bit of a basic theme, if you will. You know, nothing crazy, no specific like jungle or Egyptian theme, but it's simple, it's effective, it ticks all the boxes, you know, good supports, nice layout, nice station, catwalk, this and this and that. The pathing is really nice. And yeah, I'm generally happy with the way this turned out. I'm really happy, and I think it's going to be, despite it being a mini coaster, so to say, I think the ride's going to actually be pretty intense and pretty fast. So let's see if that's actually the case. So let me just close this, and let's see. Oh, it's actually quite nice. The camera's right in the center of the roller coaster. Usually it's a bit more to the left, but this one is in the center. So here we go. We're going up the catwalk, or excuse me, not the catwalk, the lift hill. Okay, here we go. Down the first drop. Nice, decent amount of speed there. You can see the supports from Moby Steel Jungle poking through the track. And it's just because the track itself is very thin, so you're just going to have that. It's unavoidable, unfortunately. Into our first helix here. Decent amount of speed here. Another little airtime hill, or bunny hop, or whatever you want to call it. Right next to the pathing here, you can see the guests walking. That's pretty cool. We got a second helix here. We go down into our airtime hill that goes over the pathing, that goes to the entrance of the ride and the exit. Another helix, the final one. One final corner to the right, and then we go over the pathing once again into a little back and forth here, and then into the brake run. Nice. yeah, like I said, pretty basic theming, not something super crazy, but for a mini coaster, I like it. I really like it, and I hope you guys did as well. So that's it for episode number 35, and I'll be back very soon with another episode, but until then, thank you very much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.